We'd like to call the meeting to order today on October 1st, 2024. It's 6 p.m. We have roll call. Information of people present. Jim Young,
Present.
Zipporah Clark Baldwin, present. Karen Chin.
Present.
The Historic Resource Commission is charged with promoting, enhancing, and preserving the character of the historic district, as well as landmarks, including the Courthouse Square Historic District. The commission has a quasi-judicial role. The commission hears evidence, determines relevant facts, and then applies the law as it concerns the exterior changes to our demolition of any properties, as well as new construction in the district. Commission members shall conduct themselves with professionalism and show courtesy to fellow board members, other city representatives, and the public. A board member shall approach disagreements in a positive fashion and refrain from personal criticism of meeting participants and other city representatives. Once a majority of the commission reaches a decision, the minority shall respect and honor the decision. Please remember, all public meetings and public hearings are recorded. All comments must be recognized by the chairperson and addressed through the microphone. When speaking to the commission, please stand, speak, and slowly and clearly into the microphone and state your name, address, and for the record. Please be respectful to others and refrain from disruptions during the meeting and refrain from conversations with others in the audience, as well as the microphone are very sensitive and can pick up whispers in the back of the room. Please silence all cellular phones. We now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please have a moment of silence. Liaison Workman, I'm going to ask that we skip number 3 and we're going to table those minutes for now until I have time to go over some of the discrepancies outside of the meeting. So,
Okay, you can make a motion for that.
so I'm going to make a motion that the minutes be tabled.
Second that. I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We'll go right to new business then, and we will go, we're going to go a little off the agenda, and we're going to go straight into COA 24-1136 Southwest Court Square.
So you guys can
We
move.
would now,
Okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry. We will now begin the inventory hearing for the items listed on the agenda. As a quasi-judicial proceeding, the Historic Resource Commission is not setting policy, nor are we soliciting public opinion on the desirability of an application. The Historic Resource Commission hears and considers evidence presented and applies the standards set forth in the guidelines and standards of the specific historic district for that application. The Historic Resource Commission must make its decision upon competent material and substantial evidence to determine the facts of the hearing. The Historic Resource Commission will use judgment and discretion to apply the standards contained in the relevant guidelines to the application. The commissioners in voting for an item shall not have a fixed opinion, not susceptible to change, have a conflict of interest, have engaged or ex parte communication regarding the application. This meeting is open to the public, but participants is limited to parties with standing and participate who wish to provide comment testimony regarding the proposal. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and how they relate to the relevant historic district standards, guidelines, and personal preference, hearsay, are and not personal preference, hearsay, or opinion. Make a move to open a public hearing. May I have a second?
I'll second the move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are now in the public hearing for COA 2411. Evan, will you please present the staff report on COA 2411? We'll need for you to indicate the location of the property on the map, summarize applicant's proposal, indicate impacts on other properties in the vicinity of visibility of work proposed from the public right-of-way, including level of significance and adjoining properties.
Yes, ma'am. So this is a item for windows at 36 Southwest Court Square. I believe back in August, that was one of the COAs that you guys heard for windows on the front side. And at that time, you guys approved those updated windows. These windows are at the back of the property. And from what I believe, they are just a 1/1 aluminum clad wooden window replacement. And it is a major change, hence why it is in front of you guys at the COA. It is at the back of that property. There is really no visibility from the right of way. That's where that alley between Graham Furniture Mart and when you're coming up on the corner from South Main Street, there's a little back alley there. And I believe this is that area that we're talking about. And I'll let the applicant take it from here. If you guys have any questions or any concerns, I'm sure he'll be the one to address them.
Members, do you have any further questions for staff at this
I
time?
don't know.
I do not.
The applicant has already come forward. Thank you. Please state your name, sir, and your address, and then if you would confirm your summary and additional information.
John Vernon, I live 610 Atwater Street in Burlington. Yes, this is a replacement of the rear windows of the building. I was not able to bring a physical sample this time, but it is the exact same physical sample that I showed in
Thank you.
August, except for it's not, these are not, don't have the arches because though there are some arches in the building appearance, that is purely decorative and they're framed out for square windows. So I'm using the exact same style of window to replace these windows in the rear. We initially had not planned to do that, but there's some damage to them, so we decided to do all of them. But yes, that's where we're going with those. Okay. Okay. You want me to re-say that again? Okay, good. And I'm here, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Are there any corrections or anything that you've heard so far as what our staff reported on your intentions and your project going forward?
No.
Okay. Is there any other supporting evidence? Anyone in favor? Anyone has any supporting evidence in favor of COA 2411? Or any individuals here that would like to approach? They can do so at this time. There's no one else. Are there any statements in opposition of granting this application? Anyone present? None, then we can just summarize the facts that's been presented. Both sides disagree. Looks standard.
Big maintenance to me. Yeah.
Pretty, yeah, pretty standard to me. Doesn't look like we're out of.
Yeah.
Archie's already explained that. Pretty clear. Okay, it's uncontested, then we can, we'll close the floor at this time, from public comment. Thank you, sir.
And you can make a motion to close in second, please.
I make a motion to close the floor at this time, from public comment.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So we have the fact finders. We've already pretty much done that. It's concurrent with the Historic Resource Commission. We can also just go ahead on and move then that has been accepted and the way it's been
Madam
submitted.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion Motion to approve. I've thoroughly researched the application and all the documents related to this COA 2411, and I'm familiar with the property in question. Finding of fact includes that I find that if produced in accordance with the plan submitted, the proposed changes will be compatible with the character of the mid-19th century Courthouse Square Historic District. A motion to grant. I move to approve the application for COA 2011 for the property located 36 Southwest Court Square as submitted because it does meet the following criteria.
So being that, Mr. Young, do you have any comments or anything?
I do not.
Okay. Then I need to have a second.
I
for the
second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion so moved. Thank you, sir. We now move to the open a public hearing for, may I have a second?
A
Second.
Yeah.
We, now are all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are now in public hearing for COA 2412. Evan, will you please present the staff report on COA 2412?
Yes, ma'am. This is the Graham Historical Museum, which also doubles as the Parks and Recreation office for Brian, Brandy, and Emma, some of the recreation staff for the upstairs area. So I'm sure we're all familiar with the building. That's the front of it as it currently stands at the top. The applicant is asking for permission to replace the existing windows with this major COA. He's going to use a vinyl double hung window, and it will be the same color, which is white, as the existing windows. And this obviously is considered a major change and needs approval from you guys. Again, there's the current, and that is a sample at the bottom of the window that is being proposed that will be used as a replacement. And I'll let the applicant speak to any details or anything like that when you guys call them up.
Okay. Commission members, are there any further questions for the staff?
No.
I don't have questions, no.
If you could please have the applicant now to come forward and state your name, please, sir, and your address. And if you would confirm the staff's summary for any additional comments or information or corrections.
Yes, ma'am. Brian Fawcett, work at 135 West Elm Street in Graham. Everything Evan stated is facts. The one thing that I do want to stress is that there will be 9 total windows replaced. Obviously, the picture just has the front of the building, but the west side, or excuse me, the east side of the building and the rear of the building will also have 3 windows each replaced. All the same windows, and it's replacing old wooden windows that are leaking very bad in the front of the building and could potentially start to damage some of the exhibits inside the museum proper.
Are there any
I don't
Any
have
other-
any questions.
Any other persons here with you tonight
No,
in
ma'am.
support of the
No.
application being submitted? Anyone here opposing what's being stated here tonight with this application? Then if not, we'll have deliberation, please. Summarize the fact. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd like to thank you, sir, for your information,
Yes.
and we would. Oh, did you, is there a question? I'm sorry. Okay.
Came to last month's meeting, but nobody was here, so, or we didn't have a quorum or something, so.
Can you please?
Jennifer
Hey.
Talley, 808 Sideview Street, Graham. Just when we are looking at doing window replacements, is that what you're proposing, window replacements? That the windows, according to the state historic preservation, when we've done them and consulted with them, that the mutton there, which is the wood in between the windows,
Mhm.
they want that to be 3D. They don't want that to be like a single
Embedded in the
sheet.
glass.
They don't want it to be like fake or they want it to be an actual working window that goes up and down. And so when we replaced the windows at the Paris building, that was one thing. that we had to make sure was done. You know, I'm all in favor of like energy efficient windows and things like that, but just wanted to make sure that there were going to be working windows and that they were going to be similar to what was originally proposed, you know, originally in the building, and that they operate correctly. Do you know?
Yes, they will be working.
So they
Okay.
just open out, but they can also go up.
Up and
Okay,
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same question for the Vernon building as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments based on what's being presented or what's being asked, that we check off on our list? Everybody's in compliance,
Mhm.
okay? Then I make a motion that we now close the public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Um, Anyone, I guess we've already pretty much went over what we need to do. Mr. Young, would you? Here.
I don't have any issues other than that. I hate that we'll let Mr. Vernon go because it'd been nice to know of that window.
I call a motion, as fact findings in the applicant's proposal, is congruous with the historic aspects in the district of the respect of each of the design criteria, including the reasons therefore the subject to any conditions that may be imposed. I'll call for a second, for this motion.
Second.
Comments? You don't have any comments, so we can move forward. Then if you would please just go ahead on and do the deliberation for me, Mr. Young.
Okay, Madam Chairman. I've thoroughly researched the application, all other documents related to COA 2412, and I'm familiar with the property in question. I find that if produced in accordance with the plan submitted, the proposed changes will be compatible with the character of the mid-19th century Courthouse Square Historic District. I make a motion to grant approval. I move to approve the application for COA 2412 for the property located at 135 West Elm as submitted because it does meet the following criteria.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So granted. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Oh,
Evan, is there any way that we can contact Mr. Vernon and ask him if they go?
Yeah, I can ask him if you guys would like to know. I don't, if it gets to a point where you guys are unhappy with that, I don't know what course of action we could take. That'd be something we'd have to investigate, but from my understanding, I'm sure they're working windows, but I will ask him. And he'll be going through for a facade grant too, I believe. So that may be something that,
Okay,
yeah, and he said, yeah, they were the same.
same as what's in there, just a different material.
Mhm.
Yeah, he
Okay.
said it's the exact same as what he's already presented, but I don't remember
Right.
what that was.
The framing is a little different. Mhm.
Okay,
But they do go up and down and
Yeah, in the picture, the arch is just not part of the window. It's more of a design
Part of
from,
the structure.
yeah, where the structure's at. The windows are the,
Windows are set in.
mhm, in a square.
So the arch is not part of the window
Is he gonna
frame.
change the arch, or is he gonna?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so he's just gonna replace the window.
Yes.
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, whenever you, just to take into consideration, but when you're looking at something on plans,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you don't think about it, but like, you think you know what that's gonna be, but then when you get out there and you're like, oh, this is all one sheet of
Right.
glass, and, you know, the way he explained it to me is, he's like, it's very obvious to tell that they're not, working windows, like on the Paris building, when you're looking up at them and they don't come out, he says it does it gives, it doesn't look like a, historic window, or it
Mm.
takes away from the
Mhm.
historic nature of the property. And he said, if it's on a house, it doesn't matter, it's your house, you can do what you want to. He said, but for historic purposes, they just really prefer to have those working windows with the 3D mutton.
That's good comment, yeah.
Yeah.
Good tip, thank you, yeah.
Mhm.
But when you look at it, on plans, you can't
You
really.
can't tell.
Can't tell, yeah.
You can't really tell.
Right.
So, you have to kind of come and ask the question.
Good for a recheck,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good, yeah, because I didn't even know to ask that. Okay, thank you so much. I now move to open a public hearing for COA 2410, 123 North Main Street. May I have a second?
A
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are now in public hearing for COA 2410. Evan, will you please present the staff report on COA 2410, indicating location of the property on the map, summarize the applicant's proposal, and indicate any impacts of other properties or in the vicinity or in the visibility of the work proposed. Public right-of-way, including level of significance and adjoining properties.
Yes, ma'am. So yes, this is the 123 North Main Street building, which is currently, as you see in that picture, the Trailhead Church, the old Trailhead Church building. Now, the building or the business that is moving into here has already gotten their zoning permit approved through planning, and that was done at a staff level. It's going to be craft axe throwing. The applicant is before you today because they are wanting to do a lot of work to update the facade and change a lot of the physical characteristics of the building as it stands now. So obviously, this is a major COA. Some of the renovations in the application included removing the existing canopy and columns, replacing all existing storefront glazing and doors. They're going to paint the existing stucco finish, install an aluminum canopy with brackets, and they're going to do new signage and lighting. I will note that the signage would maybe be something that could be approved with a minor COA, so I would encourage the commission not to get hung up on the signage necessarily,
Thank you.
because that could be something that is a minor COA. But any other details or specifics about the project? I know we do have somebody here to speak on this application.
I do have a couple of questions, but simply about the signage
Mhm.
in particular. I am concerned about it because do we have the dimensions of the signing submitted to us at this time?
No, ma'am, and if you guys approve this, the signage won't be automatically approved. They'll still submit their sign permit that'll tell me the dimensions. Now, if it's something that falls out of my purview, that's in our ordinance and in the historic resources handbook, then it will come to you guys
Understand.
because, I can't deny something
Right.
without you guys hearing it. But if it's something that is already laid out in the handbook and in our ordinance, I can approve it. So you won't be approving the signage right here, right now. It's just more of the main renovations. The signage is kind of part of the mock-up they sent me. So that's why I mentioned
I
it.
do have another
Mhm.
question to that. So during the deliberation, do we need to indicate that while we are doing the deliberation that this is being approved with the exception of the signage, or do we just do the deliberation as presented normal? How would we deliver?
Well, the application doesn't mention, it mentions the sign,
Finish
but,
the sign,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's here.
so that's kind of like a separate issue. I would say that you could make a note that the signage is not included in your acceptance, and that's, or it's, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's contingent on getting an approved sign permit from the city of Graham. You could say something along those lines, because that'll still be a step they have to go through.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir, for that explanation. Commissioners, are there any other questions, concerns, or anything going forth about information submitted? If I could please have the applicant at this time to come forward and state your name and address, and if you can confirm the staff's summary, and if you have any additional information or corrections.
My name is Jeff Deal with Massey Commercial Real Estate. My office address is 1629 South Church Street in Burlington, representing Chilapa Yassin with A&DB Holdings. He informed me yesterday that he was out of town, so if I come across as a deer in headlights, you'll,
That's okay.
I'm assuming that you have shared the proposed front elevation that Jeff Wilkins, the architect, has submitted to Mr. Workman. I also spent 25 years as a commercial general contractor prior to dusting off my broker's license, so a little bit familiar with, more than a little bit familiar with some of the details. If there are any questions, it's my understanding, at least from the tax card, that this building was originally constructed around the mid-1930s.
30.
The current storefront, in my professional opinion, was installed, well, since then, I'm gonna guess somewhere in the 60s, based on the materials. It, to a point that was made earlier, does consist of some very large sheets of glass that hopefully, and the way it's, I don't know how familiar you may be with that particular current status of that storefront, but it
Yeah.
has a show window sort of configuration with a opening under it, which, at least in my opinion, going to what's being proposed is going to clean that up a lot in multiple ways, as far as not having that little cubby under each of those show windows. Otherwise, I won't
Excuse me.
share any more of my opinions. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I did also note that in hearing, I don't see it here on the application, but it did indicate something about painting. I don't see what color of paint, just making sure that it is in compliance with what we already have in place, because we do have a skid that we go by as far as color codes. So I don't see what the color is that you're projecting. And the materials that's going to be used to replace, if it's decided that we would go that route. What type of materials? What's the process in removing what we have? Have we studied to see what's behind what we will be taking down? Just to make sure that our environment is safe and that the people downtown are safe during this construction, if it's decided that we would go that way. And when you were going to be finishing this building, just in your personal opinion, what would you describe it? Modern? What look would it have once you make all of these?
From the exterior,
Yes, from the facade.
I personally think it's gonna be more consistent with what's around it than what it currently is, as far as from a historical feel standpoint. Right now, it's a 30s structure with a 60s storefront and a canopy that's seen better days.
And
I'd like to think that it's going to become more consistent.
Mhm.
And not to step on Mr. Deal's toes, but the question you had about taking and what's behind the wall, from my understanding in the application, they are just going to repaint the existing wall that is there, like at the top here where the
Signage goes?
rise. Yeah, yes, ma'am. They'll paint, excuse me, goodness gracious. They'll paint that. And then I believe,
Glass.
yeah, and some of the stuff at the bottom is where they're gonna add some finish and match it with the existing material and paint that they put on the top.
On a certain,
Yeah, just for clarification. So I don't know if they're taking a wall down necessarily. But he can maybe speak a little bit to the logistics, but
I'm all but positive that none of that is load bearing in the front, so it, and to your point about safety, I certainly think it's gonna be barricaded to keep keep folks out of harm's way.
so there's no facing that's underneath the current trailhead sign, is there? Is that
It appears to be.
is that the bare surface?
It appears to be,
The
have been
flat-
stuccoed hard
Okay, it's
at
still-
some point.
It's not like like the building to its immediate left that's, it
With a-
has aluminum.
with-
There's the surface that we see is the surface that's there.
That's
There's
correct.
nothing underneath it. Okay, that's,
It does
That was
appear to be
original.
cementitious.
stuck it over it. Okay, good.
Hmm.
Okay, got it.
That's it right there. Okay, I do have another question. I'm not gonna take up all the time, guys, I promise. So with the things that we don't have in front of us, I don't know if you're prepared. Did we speak about the paint? Do you know what color that they are?
I don't, I
Proposing.
know that the imagery that I received, it was a color. I don't know if what you received was a color rendering.
Normally what?
May I approach and hand you that?
Yes, please, thank you.
I think it's gonna be that color that it is.
Repaint
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that we go with our
Yeah.
grid and just make sure it's one of our colors that's already approved.
Yes,
Through city palette.
And just a note on this too for you guys, I should have mentioned this in the staff report, is my apologies, but with the painting as well, staff, whether that be me or Cameron, we are allowed to approve repainting as long as it is in that
In that palette.
swath or palette that you guys are talking
Yes.
about.
Mhm.
So they may not have the paint color here, and that's fine, because that's not a major COA item necessarily.
That's right. It's gonna be-
The main thing that I think the commission would have to approve here is the canopy, the new canopy. It looks like it's gonna be changed from, the poles coming down onto the sidewalk, and it's gonna be hung from the front of the building. And also the changes to the windows at the front of the store and the doors. So those are the main things that you guys would need to consider. There are some minor items here mixed in, and I apologize, I may have not drawn that line clear enough for you guys. I didn't want you guys to get hung up on that though, because they can come to me later, and if it's not an approvable color, they can either come back to you guys, or they can change their plans to an approvable color, and I can sign off on it in the same day. So just wanted to make a note of that.
Thank you.
So the awning, that will really be a freestanding awning. It won't be supported like with the poles like it currently is.
It would be
It'll be
supported
cantilevered.
it would be supported cantilevered
Cantilevered
with the angle brackets off of the facade of the
I
building.
see, okay.
Don't know where the handicap
Okay.
parking sign's gonna end up being supported, but I guess that's something for another day.
Madam Chairman, I have some questions I'd like to ask.
Please, Mr. Young.
Sir, the lighting and the new hardware for the cover,
Mhm.
is that just gonna be like a black finish? Like a satin black?
That's what he's portraying. I mean, I don't know that anybody's on ownership's end is necessarily married to that if somebody wants to propose something different.
Oh, no, I just wanted to make sure if it's like it is in the picture.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a good question.
yeah, I just wondered if the framing and all of the hardware, if that was gonna be all the same, like a matte black finish or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what the gloss level might end up being, but my experience typically on that kind of system, it's not a extreme gloss, it's not an extreme flat, it's usually kind of,
Satin.
Sure.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
Oh,
Are there any other persons here that have any other supporting evidence or any other comments? Any solicitation, any persons opposing, in opposition, granting this application? If you've been sworn in, if you can just approach, please, and state your name and address, please, ma'am.
Jennifer Talley, I'm sorry I didn't bring pictures tonight.
Mhm.
But on the original storefront of the building, there were transoms. So I assume they still exist there. But I don't know. I would have to go, I guess, inspect the building to see if that's true, but, I do have a picture of what the original storefront looks like, and usually if you're gonna change the facade of the front of the building, you try to
Want
keep,
change it back, yeah.
well, you try to, yeah.
Keep it close to
They make
what
it-
it
Yeah,
is.
do you know, Jeff, if there's
Can she send that picture to you now, Evan, or is it too late?
I have not seen that picture, no, ma'am.
Can she send it to you now so you can display it? Jennifer, can you get that picture over to Evan and he can, upload it hopefully so everyone can see it? Can you email it to yourself or how will we do that?
I'm not logged into my email,
No.
but, it may just be,
Can you
May
show
I see
us?
it, please?
yeah, you can show the commission, yeah. It's just a picture of the old storefront.
A lot of changes already.
Like it had two doors. That's pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You get an opportunity of seeing the picture. Okay. Okay. Ma'am, you can continue. Thank you. With your comments?
so just like, can you put the picture back up on the?
There it
Yeah,
is.
that one.
Yep. So, I think the signage and getting the awning off the sidewalk, and having it be, you know, more,
Freestanding.
yeah, freestanding, I think is,
Cantilevered out, yeah.
yeah, I think that's fine. And I think like even the Historic Preservation Office is fine with the changing of those awnings to even more modern awnings, but, cause that's like a removable item, um, it's not something that, I think takes away from the historic nature of the building or anything like that, but, I guess the, um, the changing of the complete storefront, is very against what, they did to the building that was across the street down the hall, because they made that building into two separate spaces, which I'm not against doing that, like subdividing the building, that was fine. But they totally changed the storefront and then it just has like this big black
Right,
thing in the
yeah.
middle.
Mm.
It just is not, it's just not historic and it's not like, if you're doing that to a modern building, it's not a big deal, but, we're trying to make sure that, and even what you do inside, people don't see that from the outside, but we just want to make sure that when changes are done to the facade of the exterior, that they're consistent with the historic nature of the original design. And so, I guess this is only opportunity, Jeff, I didn't know that you guys were looking at changing the whole storefront, and just would ask, is there any consideration by the owner to put the transoms back, do you think?
I think it'd be fairly easy to replicate them by just adding in some vertical buttons on the upper light. If that, this is the first I've heard of it, so the historical pictures, I don't know what level the architect even had access to them. I'm assuming that's something that maybe in some sort of archive role here, but I wouldn't imagine that would be difficult to do.
Is-
At least kind of harken back to
Right.
the transom effect.
Do you know, like right now, like in this old picture, it actually has the brickwork. It has like a feature on the brickwork that comes out here above where the signage would be. Is that all stucco now?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's just like mainly, this is like a main architectural feature. Obviously, I understand if you don't want to put these things back and have two entrances or whatever, but, I think like, if there's any way they would consider doing that kind of, so that it gets more in line with the pictures and like if you were to have a before and after picture that would look more in line with what was, how the building was originally constructed?
Figure out if they had, because there was no canopy there then.
I think like right here, this is a canopy that actually like pulls out. Years ago, they like, all the ones downtown, even the ones at the soda shop.
Where they roll up.
They pulled
Where they
out
roll up.
and they had a little, yeah, but they had a, well, you don't even see them today, but they have like a little, rod that goes
Oh.
into the sidewalk that held the
Oh, the
awning up.
hell, uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And then the
it's
awning
still-
basically like
yes.
goes up into the thing, kind of like a RV awning.
Right. Gotcha.
There was like one of the.
That picture, yeah, that's a picture.
Actually, these entrances that were there originally, they actually were an ingress. So you give up square footage of the building if you did that. So I understand if you don't want to spend the money to do that, because that's not how it is now. But if there's any way you could make the transoms in there, I think that would speak a lot to, because if it was gonna be covered up by the
See.
awning, but, you know, maybe it wouldn't be, but it's gonna be visible, and it would be great if you could, incorporate that. I don't think it would be a big price difference from what you're
No, for what I
proposing.
was describing, just putting the extra, if it didn't involve demolishing
Instead of-
brickwork,
Right,
you know, just going in and putting additional dividers in
Buttons,
that
right.
in that upper, set of plate,
Back bar.
that'd certainly be agreeable, I would think.
On the lighting.
I think you'd give it, you know,
I can get some more historical pictures and email them to you, Jeff, if you want to give me your card. But that's my only, you know, comment. We appreciate you. Did he purchase the building?
Mhm.
Okay, that's
no,
wonderful.
it's not the tenant, the axe throwing folks did not. Jalapa Yasin still owns it.
Okay, so, but, I appreciate, are they doing the renovations?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate them willing to spend money on a historic building because they're not cheap, but the only thing is that I'm just saying, you know, for the facade part of it, we try to put it back as original to the original structure as we can. And so that would be my only comments, but it's certainly up to the board.
Thank you so much.
Sir,
Yeah,
on the awning, the awning that they plan on doing, is it gonna come out as far as the existing? Or is it gonna be
Like-
shorter?
I don't have the architectural drawings
Okay.
with me to show the projection. I think maybe you've seen them, I think, from, related, but
Mhm. It's
I
possible.
think it's the intent.
It's gonna be flat, right, like the one is now,
Mm-hmm.
and black? But you don't know how far it comes out, like maybe 6 feet or something?
Cause the way that the existing one comes out and what bugs me is the marquee of the theater is blocked by that awning coming out so far.
That's what I was.
If they ask me, and certainly feel free to restrict it to your heart's content, I wouldn't go any more than 6 feet.
Well, I think that,
the one
I
that's
think
there
you're
now.
right in this,
Yeah.
the design, the rendition of what you're wanting to do
Mhm.
looks way better than the building looks now. And is an improvement, in the appearance, everything.
I concur
Um,
with that.
It, to me, and I mean, I'm not an architectural expert on the history of it or anything, but to me, that looks more in the spirit of the way it should be than what it is now. It looks, the rendition looks really good. And I think it's gonna be a beautiful building. It'll look great in here.
Safety glass, right?
Where code requires it, I think that the safety glass is required up above to a certain elevation above floor level. he just sent me the quote over. If you don't, I know I'm getting.
That's okay.
No, take your
that's
time,
fine.
please.
This
We
is-
have
If
time.
they're throwing hatchets, I hope it's safety glass.
But
Yeah.
they do have
That's-
chain link enclosures on that, so. All right,
Well, the safety glass, I can just tell you.
And what
mowing
about
a
the
lot
windows? Do they
behind
go up and
downtown,
down?
it's-
They don't, right?
People come by with BB guns and everything else, and,
Bless you.
if you don't have it, I mean, it's inevitable that at some point somebody's gonna break something. Even if nobody runs into it, somebody will shoot it out or do something to it, and, you just definitely want to have that safety glass. I tell you, when we had a, building, Sandy's, and a tractor trailer came by with a tractor on the back of it, and the arm that goes down on the field came down and smashed that thing while people were in there shopping. And I'm telling you, I absolutely 100% believe people would have died that day had we not
Yeah,
had.
safety glass in there.
Take the glass.
Because it was a terrible, terrible accident. And when those big slices of glass
Mm.
come down, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure if it's whatever code is required, but just, you know, just take it for what it's worth. It
the
was-
only thing that I'm seeing in here that it's, this quote from Alamance Glass specifically called for was clear tempered glass, safety glass at the
Mm.
doors, which I remember that being code from back when I was a full-time GC. And I do remember that code requires, anything that's within 30 inches or so of grade level has to be tempered as well.
So then what you're stating is that the storefront windows and the door, all the glass up front is going to be safety glass tempered.
It would meet code as
Yeah,
far as
has
the
to be.
safety standpoint. I know the doors would have to be.
Do you have a picture, Evan, of what it looks like now? Can you zoom in on that picture?
Big old 8-inch square slabs of it.
Mhm.
So the glass at the bottom, I mean, there's like brickwork at the bottom that shows in the original. Is that something that you guys would be willing to keep or no?
There's actually no brick currently at the base. What you've got is that storefront system projecting out, and it's supported by posts.
He was talking about the cubbyhole.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then. on
It goes
the
back
interior,
in
And somebody.
6 to 8 inches.
Put wood planking on top of that storefront. I don't know what to call it, something you don't hardly ever see them anymore, so. And then the wall on the interior, the top was removed from it and it's wood frame. So this would be pretty well getting rid of all of that and replacing it with the storefront system, except for the stucco pillars on either side of the doors.
And
So,
There's not brickwork there as it is?
I haven't found it if there is,
Okay.
other than just what's above the existing storefront.
So the glass will sit closer to the sidewalk?
it's going to come all the way down. The
He's
black,
showing somewhat of a curve there. He's not specific about what he's doing, but it looks like he's showing a stucco finish. And I guess that's to be consistent with what's currently
This-
above it.
Above it, yeah, okay.
do you know whether or not, I don't know if you have his calendar or not, but we have so many questions, and I don't know who the ultimate decision maker is. It's going to be the owner,
My client, yeah.
your client, yeah. So with that having been said, I think what we may need to do is table this one. I'm going to ask the permission of the commission with the board, but I think we have so many questions and so many suggestions that we're making that you may or may not be able to approve at this time, and things that are unclear to us. Evan, you have clear what the questions that have been asked and the materials that we are questioning, all that in place where we can have that sent over to the ultimate decision maker and have them come back to us, hopefully in November.
Yeah, and just so I'm clear,
See if we can rehear this.
the stuff that Mayor Talley and all you guys were speaking about, the transoms, you guys would like to see those incorporated or?
Consider being put those back.
Okay, and then, let's see, and was there anything else really that you guys?
I would say, ask him about 6 foot instead of the full,
Okay.
because the canopy now is certainly extends further away from the building
Mm-hmm.
6 feet.
And as,
But I could accommodate 6 feet, see if he'd be willing to do that. And then ask him what he plans on doing with that bottom, how far down the glass
does
needs
the
to go.
glass come all the way down or?
Based on what's there. And of course, he didn't have access to the photo that Mayor Talley.
And the specific
yeah,
coloring, I know
and-
that's minor, but
It's a good,
That'd be good.
her comments
Yeah.
are valid. If we could go back and capture some of that, so you had a before and after that, you know, it was square this way and now it's still square instead of it was square this way and now it's half that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
The main overall would be pretty much the main overall. It would just be updated. I think the whole idea of, I agree with Mr. Young, what's featured on such, but this is such a flat view. It doesn't visually give you, which it's caused us to ask the questions. So I'm glad the mayor was here to mention about the transoms and the availability. None of us would have had access to that building, but
This city is very, welcoming of
yep.
business and, doing historic renovation. We very much appreciate his willingness to do that. And, even though they look like they may be delaying it, I
Be worth it.
think, you know, it's for, just to make sure that, good plans, you know, come out. And I'm sorry I didn't know, or I would have contacted you before the meeting, that this was coming up. But maybe Evan, I think it's always like maybe a good idea to always have like when someone's proposing to do like a major
Mhm.
change to the facade, because sometimes people can't, like the developers and the property owners can't envision, like they could do it if they just had a picture.
Mhm.
They could like make the plans meet.
The
very
end state,
similar.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that, so that, because I always hate to make people go back and
Right.
withdraw stuff, but like, just like Jeff was saying, you know, those transom things seem like a very simple thing
Mhm.
that they could do had they just had access to the picture.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I sent out notifications as our ordinance required, but yeah, we can definitely look at if I think that they're doing something to a building, then maybe I'll reach out and ask if you guys have any pictures you'd like me to provide to the applicant. And we can definitely look at that.
State site that has a bunch of them downtown. Greenville. State archives. I don't know if you have access to that through the city, but they have some even better pictures than I have.
Oh.
But they have some beautiful pictures.
Yeah, I'd say those 3 things, under the windows, the transom, and a 6-foot extension on.
Yeah,
Straight.
and I did get some construction drawings from Mr. Yassin. A lot of it was included in his building permit request and a lot of it was inside work. So there may, and that's not, under the purview of this commission.
Understand.
I can look and see if I missed something about the awning, because he might have provided me with that, and I just didn't include how far out the awning goes, but as far as I was able to tell, this was the most relevant elevation and information he provided on the outside. So I'll definitely reach out to him depending on y'all's decision and let him know. And when you guys make a motion to table, it's in the green block, in my staff report. Be sure to include those questions and, I can have them on record. He'll know what you guys are asking. So.
Have a list of the questions.
Oh, I don't have anything else. Yeah.
We'll close the public hearing.
I'd like to move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so. we'll proceed. Transoms and.
Yeah.
The transoms and then we have. Awning.
Under the window. Space under the front windows. Treatment for that area.
But what, is that all of them?
Yep. Mm-mm.
Evan, can you approach, please?
Yeah. We need for them to bring some architectural. Yeah, illustration or drawing of the plans. That would, yeah. Yeah, nothing any extra than he needs to, but visually something that would make. Yeah.
Thank you guys for your patience and thank you so much, sir, for coming and presenting for the owner, your client. At this time, I'm going to move to table COA 2410 for 123 North Main Street in order for the commission to seek guidance and also be able to speak with the owner and get their personal opinion of the questions that we're going to ask tonight about the transoms, whether or not if they're going to be restored or added back into the final plans, the awning, how far out of the elevation that we are talking about, get more specifics. I don't think we're going to need for a full architectural drawing, but some of these specific things to be answered. And the windows, the space underneath, the treatment, we needed to find out more about how far down are they going to come? Is it going to be anything underneath it? If so, what materials are going to be used there? So there are several things that we do have questions about, but we do welcome them being able to have the interest to come and want to restore and enhance the downtown. So we definitely do appreciate that. So just letting them know that in pursuant with the NCGS 160D as in David 947, the application will be acted upon within a reasonable time of period, and we will not exceed over 180 days. Okay. Any other comments?
Nope.
Okay, I make a motion that we table COA 2410.
I'll
Second.
second the motion.
Motion properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried that we table COA 2410 for now. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we'll go back to the agenda as written. We'll now have the report.
Evan's comments.
report from city council, right? Yeah. We'll now have the report from, any updates on city council. You don't have anything? We did have, a question that we had, asked him to look into, Joey, we had, you were gonna report back to us about.
While she's looking for a question,
Mhm.
you indicated, Evan, that you sent out 49 letters regarding facade grants. I was just wondering what your response was, if you've had any response from the,
So I have had a number of people.
like late September, you were kind of expecting, and
Yeah, as of the due date, I had, actually, Mr. Vernon, who was here earlier, he submitted a facade grant application, but that was the only one I had received.
Oh.
So I did extend them, and you guys will hear them next month, which I understand kind of cuts down on the time that people have to do the work, but we'll be sure that we're clear about, when the timeframes are on the applications that they're submitting. So hopefully we'll get more than one. I did have somebody come in and speak to me earlier this
Did you?
week, who's interested in it. So by the end of this month, we should be getting all the applications in. Obviously, I won't extend it again just because then we'll really be pushing people to get work done. But hopefully we'll get more than just the one we have right now for the
Okay.
facade grant.
People that own Calming Hands Massage, Susan, her last name for some reason, but she's also gonna be submitting one for signage. And then there's somebody else gonna be doing an awning. So I think we will have plenty.
Mhm. Yeah, and Chair Clark Baldwin had asked me to check in on one, where Wise Owl Investments is right there. I think that's considered Northwest Court Square. And she said she would speak, she's not the owner, she's a tenant, but she said she would speak to the owner. So hopefully, yeah,
Mm,
like
okay.
Mayor Talley was saying, I don't think
That's
we'll
right.
have just one when we're here next month. So I'm sure we'll have more than that.
Terrible, because I really think that awning could probably be cleaned. Not really that old.
Is that the 114 and 112? Yeah. So, have we,
Same way.
Yeah.
It's just, because it sits on that north side,
Weather.
and all that stuff from the traffic and just, you know how moss grows on the north side of the building, kind of that sort of thing.
kind of that kind, yeah, it looks a little bad, but I guess we can just reach out to them about that. And Mr. Joy, you're off the hook because I have a note here I can't even decipher myself, but it's something. So you are off the hook on that one, but thank you.
And
Yeah.
I thought the question was about the facade grant, besides something else you had there.
No, that was it. It was something about the members heard on the second Tuesday by council. Joey, I have Joey there, but anyway, okay, so I don't know, sir, you're off the hook on that one. And did we get a staff report? Okay, all right.
Just saying that
Yeah.
you'll be hearing facades next month if all goes as planned. There may be some,
Perfect. And we
COAs.
extended.
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
we were supposed to hear them this month. Like I
Right.
said, I had one from Mr. Vernon, who was here tonight,
Mhm.
up until this point. So I'm sure next month, a lot of these applicants will probably have COAs as well attached to them. So it'll be a big meeting hopefully next month with a lot of stuff going on that you guys will be here for. So that'll be, and then this, of course, being tabled until November, that'll be on the
Gotcha.
docket as well. So maybe a longer meeting next month, and that's okay. That means things are happening, so that's a good thing.
Right. Okay, very good. Any other comments, concerns, commissions,
No, I
anybody
haven't.
else? Nothing
No.
else? If there's nothing else, I make a motion that this meeting be adjourned at 7:02 PM.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out.